Leadership, but there are reports that there's been some drama. For more on that, let's cross now to our reporter Nthakoana Ngatane, who's there in Midrand, just north of Johannesburg. Thanks very much for joining us, Nthakoana. So, leadership is supposed to be elected, but this has certainly not come without incident, it seems. Tell us more about that.
Well, Peter, as expected, I think quite a highly charged Pan-African Parliament. And I think for the first time since the establishment of this Parliament in 14 years, we're seeing this amount of activity that's happening here today. But two main points of contention, really. The first one being that when these members came in here today, we already knew that some parts of Africa, and there are 5 regions of the Pan-African Parliament: North, South, East, West and Central. And we know that the South, for instance, wanted the president to account. He was asked to present a report of activity yesterday, but he said that his bureau, which is him and 4 vice presidents, were unable to form a quorum in order to adopt that report to be presented here. But these members from the South were saying that they would not allow him to start the election before he presents that report. Now, when the members came in here today, the first thing was that there was no order paper on the table. So that was the first point of contention, and they demanded that the House be suspended until that order paper is presented before them. When it was presented before them, they then demanded that the president apologize for that delay, which he did. And then he then stood up and announced that he was resigning with his bureau as according to procedure before the election. But of course, the members again stood up. Julius Malema, EFF leader from South Africa, saying that they don't expect the president to resign before he presents that report. But of course, by that time, he had already stepped down, and members of an ad hoc committee who have been nominated to run the election say that they don't have the power. And as we speak now, the 3 candidates for the presidency, and for the North, that is Egypt, Mustafa El-Gendi; for the South, that is Chief Charumbira from Zimbabwe, as well as the current president, Roger Nkodo Dang. Now, he is also running in this presidency, and this is another point of contention. Some of these members here are saying that there is a principle of rotation that comes from the mother body, the African Union, and it should be applied here. We know that the Central African region was president from 2012 to 2015. It was president from 2015 to 2018 now with Roger Nkodo Dang. And he is now running again. And these members are saying it should not be like that. They should allow other regions to run for the presidency. Other regions like the North, for instance, which has a candidate, have only 6 countries. So if you're looking at numbers, it's very unlikely that they might get that opportunity. But of course, we stepped out as Chief Charumbira was about to present his statement to say why it is that he should be elected. So I guess we can go in and find out what's happening. But quite a highly charged environment here at the Pan-African Parliament, Peter.
So, Nthakoana, what's the likelihood that these elections will take place, and will that report ever get tabled? It looks like it's gone now.
Well, from what the ad hoc committee says, it says that its job, as it sits at the front table now, is to facilitate the election so that the next bureau, that is the president and his 4 vice presidents, can then present that report. But of course, these members are saying that report does not belong to this new bureau. It belongs to the bureau that is stepping down. So they cannot be asked to present an activity report that they did not write, that they know nothing about. But in addition to that, Peter, there is that issue of an anonymous document that has been circulated to members that alleges that the outgoing president from Cameroon, Nkodo Dang, has been misappropriating funds and has been practicing nepotism and employing people from his country and other Francophone countries, and sidelining people from other regions as well as South Africans in particular. So these are just some of the issues that we expect to see how they unfold, I suppose, in the next hour or so, whether indeed the election will in fact happen. The Southern African Caucus had said that it would not allow the election to go ahead. But as I say, when we stepped out, the candidate from Southern Africa was asked to go to the podium to present his case to be elected. Peter?
All right. right, so Nthakoana, we're going to leave it there for the time being. We'll let you go back inside the Parliament building just to get a sense of how things are progressing. But we'll catch up with you a little bit later on. And as she says, it looks like regionalism is becoming a big issue there. And it's a pity, given the calls for unity for the continent, that there's a concern that a certain region should not be allowed and another region should be allowed. But anyway, I'm sure that they will sort that out, and Nthakoana will give us an indication a little bit later on just how things have progressed.